Okay, so you know this, Nick, but I actually ended up meeting up with David sort of around the time that Austin Film Festival was around. We hung out for a little bit. It was good seeing him again.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about, like, you know, he's really happy listening to the podcast, and he wanted us to do some movies that he liked. And he gave me a good list of stuff, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But one stood out to me, and I think it was a good call for us to watch that movie today. He specifically told us to watch the Netflix original movie 65.
He has been raving about it. I mean,
It's all he'll talk
about. You see a twinkle in his eye every time he starts talking about it. And Adam Driver, he just can't contain himself. Anyway, welcome to WAM.
Welcome to WAM, guys. We watched 65.
We certainly did.
This
for
is
better or for worse.
For better or for worse. I will say, out of the bad movies we've watched, I don't feel as exhausted after having watched this one. There's a little bit of brain numb that came with it. Like, I just started looking at it, and I just thought there's nothing interesting about it. But at the same time, I went out of it thinking, okay, I don't hate that people got paid for this.
Yeah, this movie hurt me pretty bad. I really didn't enjoy this at all. I could find nothing that I enjoyed. Even the one aspect I thought I would ended up being really shit, being the dinosaurs. This movie overall was a loss for me, and I really kind of feel bad that Adam Driver had to be a part of this. Because he can act, but he just apparently couldn't in this movie. It wasn't allowed in the contract.
I mean, for context, this movie is very silent. Adam Driver is given very little lines throughout this, and that that stops his acting ability a lot.
There was like 5 minutes of silence, and then he sits down in a river and turns to the other character and just goes, "I'm tired." I said I'm tired. And like, there's not really a lot more conversation after that.
Yeah, let's talk about, I guess, the starting plot of it. It's not great. The basic setting we are put into is we're on this separate world called Solaris,
Mm-hmm.
and we see Adam Driver there with his wife and kid, and then he goes, "I need to go off to a planet. I need to deliver some people on a run that'll take me 2 years.
Yeah.
So I can take care of our daughter's medical problems."
Yeah,
and the
like colonist kind of deal, I guess.
Yeah, the second he says that they're sick, or that his daughter is sick, you can hear instantly in the background a little it's
This movie, like, watch the cliff notes of Interstellar, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do that."
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of try to mush it back together and just didn't get it all back in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff it takes from Interstellar, mostly regarding how it deals with
mostly regarding
distance.
The plot and the cinematography. Not the cinematography. This was bad. The set design, motivations.
Yeah.
Cock rings, same brand.
What would what would it look like? Saturn's rings?
I mean, it depends how you customize it.
I think that's fair.
You have options.
It sort of looks like the black hole.
Well, yeah, that's their next release. It comes out in the Christmas season.
What
were you saying? It takes a lot from Interstellar.
Yeah, it takes a lot from Interstellar. The biggest thing it definitely takes is just the idea of like long distance relationships between a son or a father and a daughter, and like the whole idea of the daughter hates you, and like emotional moments from a distance. Because it's 2 years and she's sending over messages and stuff. And the whole time she's sort of being like, "Hey, this is what's happening in my life." And then he immediately goes, "I hate you, Daddy. I hate you.
I hate you today." And then it's back to her just being like kind of okay. She's just kind of sad.
Yeah. That happens quite a lot. what even is the best way to? This sort of feels as if it was a VFX test. This movie feels as if they needed a script in order to just see, okay, what can we do with like VFX on this low budget? Because this was only 45 million, and they VFX never felt fake. However,
Mm,
some of the dinosaur models are a bit whack. I don't know if
yeah.
they're accurate or not, though. Like they
I
could
don't.
be like wholly accurate.
I think they're probably like, I'm sure they're probably based on like some paper where like dinosaurs could have actually looked something like this, and they're like, oh, that's cool, and they just ran with it. But it's the same design for all of the dinosaurs. It's just scaled up and or
Mm-hmm.
down depending on like how scary we want them to be.
That's true. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we haven't even explained how there's dinosaurs. Okay, so
Oh yeah.
he's on the ship delivering things. He hits some asteroid debris. His ship goes down, and we're told that he landed on Earth 65 million years before present time, which is both during, I think that was the Jurassic period. It's a dinosaur period of some sort. It's also right before the KT event, which is the giant asteroid that kills all the dinosaurs.
It's definitely before the Constitution.
Well, I'm not a historian, so I'm going to assume you're right.
Yeah, we're really not experts. Um,
It's
were you there? I wasn't. Who knows?
the main conflict comes from his ship was cut in half while falling down. Most of the people that he had on board, which were like in cryogenic sleep, died,
Mhm.
except for one little lady.
Well, two.
I thought there was two. I thought there was two. There might have been two.
There
It
totally
appears
was two.
okay. Well, he
Because it was the
finds
little Asian one with the mask, and then he found the girl with the cloak on later. Like, right after, basically.
you're right. Okay, so
That's
he
why I thought
finds
he just abducted her. Because I was
yeah.
like, dude, she's just from, like, somewhere else. And he's like, oh my god, you must be from the ship.
I guess so. I'm gonna assume it's one just because that makes more sense, right? Maybe we just saw her in the wrong light or something. But
Wait.
going into this, before I like started using critical thinking, I just thought this is two people. We see one girl that he finds that says like on her pod, oh, she might be alive, takes her out. And then while he's hunting or something or looking around, he finds a different girl, I thought, and she's like in full like nomad clothing.
Yeah, she has, like,
And
a cloak on.
yeah, and then he grabs her aggressively and
Hey, hey, stop it.
and then
Come here.
takes her back to his ship. They chill out for a little bit. He learns that he can't speak with her, and then the main mission becomes get to the other half of the ship, relay a signal to a distress signal to get someone to pick them up, and then boogie. So that's the plot. The plot is we need to walk. We need to
The
walk
plot
in complete silence.
is escape to which mountain? That's
I
it.
I wish I never I might have finished that movie. I've
It's okay,
definitely
don't.
seen it.
I I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. I just remember each time I've tried to watch it, I really hated it. It was just an
What about
overwhelming,
you?
like, I saw red.
Anger?
It was horrible. God, that movie's so bad.
I don't think I've ever
This
been. There's been two times I've been angry at a movie. Whiplash, and that's supposed to make me angry. And then Spy Kids 5.
God, Spy Kids 5. But this movie, the whole deal with the little girl, like, even if it's supposed to be the same girl, where did she get the cloak? Why did she wake up in a ship and then leave? She knew
hmm
full well she was gonna be put into cryo sleep. Like, why? Why?
I don't. A lot of the things in here don't feel
It's just for
great. Yeah, most of the script I don't think is forced. A lot of it can flow somewhat naturally. The problem comes down to the idea that there's no reason to care. Everything happens very fast, and the main action of it all is just walking in silence. So there's no really anything to like get gripped by.
I
Even
guess
when
on
you,
paper it sounds good when you're like reading it, maybe.
I mean, if you read it and you just assumed, oh, they're going to add cool bits in between, then yeah, I can see how a Netflix person could get attached to that. But then I also think once you read it and it says they go walking, they see a geyser, it goes off, they keep walking. I think once you get into sort of that area, you sort of realize, oh, they never added in the good bits.
This was a situation where like they got the script and they're like, all right, fantastic. Like they watched the movie through, like the finished product. They watched the
Mm-hmm.
finished product through, like, all right, guys, fantastic. I got some notes, but I really think this is a good start. And he's like, all right, it shipped yesterday. He's like, huh? God, it just, I think it's a really neat premise. It
It
was kind of disappointing that it isn't just like time travel. He's literally 65 million years ago.
like a reverse Planet of the Apes almost.
Yeah, I don't really know what it would realistically change,
Yeah.
but it was just disappointing discovering that was not the truth.
Now,
Um,
here's a
it's like a
question for
almost
you.
like maybe like a we don't really want to explain it the other way around, so it's a almost Earth. So it's like,
Yeah. This sort of seems almost similar to like a Scientologist view of the world, how we're like alien remains or something. I don't know.
ooh, actually, you know what? That could totally work if the planet didn't get destroyed at the end of the movie.
Well, does it get
No, I'm pretty. She was a pretty big rock.
It was a big rock. What okay, so
The computer said it was bad.
it was a big rock. For what I know about this asteroid thing that killed the dinosaurs,
It's
the
coming.
main killer wasn't it wasn't the impact. It was the smog and the change in weather that happened
Well, yeah,
afterwards.
because it would cloud it all over, and then
Yeah.
it can't grow. But I
But
mean, still,
I
planet
just don't
fucked.
I just don't see how we're led to believe that everyone in like cryo sleep died. That's what we're led to believe. But their bodies are all over the earth. The asteroid hits, it covers it in fumes. And then the end credits is just like a time lapse where we see, oh, yeah, everything's smog. And then, oh, it's actually kind of pretty now. And then, oh, there's human civilization. Are we
Yeah,
supposed to believe there's a connection?
I mean, I think we're supposed to think like a I don't know, like a life finds a way kind of shtick,
Mm,
or just like a woo humanity deal.
yeah.
Like he did accomplish his mission or whatever, but like I guess to give a purpose of the whole movie where it's like, wow, he really did do it.
Oh,
But
okay.
like
So we're supposed to believe they went back to Earth to colonize it.
that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming he
Okay.
went to an Earth to colonize, yeah, to do that. And so he did technically do it. I mean, he doesn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Um but it's such a weak like see guys, look, it was worth it moment.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
it's
his
an
daughter still
end
died.
credit scene. Yeah. And like his daughter's still dead. He's still sad. And now he's just like flying away in space to nowhere.
What a you know what would have like instantly made this story more compelling?
What was that?
If the
C3PO?
well, yeah, if C3PO was in this, that'd be awesome. Imagine like there's just like like the T-Rex is standing right outside the cave that they're in and you just hear, "Oh dear."
Imagine if there was just the corpse of Yoda, like his mummified corpse they found in the mud. Like the mud had preserved his body perfectly and they just like picked him up out of there.
This ain't no Dagobah.
That's what goddamn.
um, what I was gonna say is we have this connection between Adam Driver and his daughter the whole time, the one who dies, and it seems as if he absolutely has no care for his wife, who would like be dealing with this same grief that he also has to return home to.
Oh
The
yeah,
whole
he
time he's
totally had
just
a
caring
wife.
about his daughter
He totally had a wife. I completely forgot.
because she's not there to do anything except for enforce the fact that they had a daughter together. It's I
Well,
don't get why we wouldn't have a stronger connection with the wife, especially since like that's someone you love too, I'd assume.
they couldn't afford it. You know what? The actress probably just couldn't make it to the other shoots, and they're like, "Well, we don't want to redo the standing at the beach scene that's zoomed in so you can't see what's around them.
We don't
God, we can't
see
afford that.
the only bit of alien society we see in this movie is a beach, which looks exactly like Earth, and then
Mhm.
we see the spaceship. The spaceship design isn't great.
No,
It
it's really made so, like, they didn't have a budget to make a really extravagant ship, so they made a smaller, like, kinda cramped almost. Think the Spy
mhm.
Kids 3, Dragon Spy 5, less cool, grayer, and, like, padded like it's an insane asylum.
Mm.
That's it. But it doesn't
Yeah,
tell you when it flushes your poop.
it is very cramped in there, and you sort of see that when you get to the physical props they used for the
Mhm.
halves of the ship. You look at like both of them together, and you sort of get the feeling of like, okay, this is roughly the size, like the rough volume of maybe 4 buses was shipping like at least 20 people, like over a
I'd say
long distance.
easily more than 20.
Easily more than
For
20.
the colonists, I'm saying that he had.
How many do you think were in there? Because we only saw the bodies of maybe like 7.
I'm just gonna say, like, probably, like, 200 or something.
That would be the amount you
Cause
need to
like,
make a
30
colony.
would be, like, incesty.
Well, even at 200, wouldn't that lead to it? There is a specific amount you need to optimize no incest. But
I
how
don't know,
many?
we still haven't figured it out. We're trying to work that part out. What do you think about the cinematography in this movie?
Um,
Do you think anything?
there are some very nice shots in here. I thought there were some shots that were really interesting, but I also think a lot of it is, I guess, standard or unmotivated. Uh, the largest thing I see throughout this is it doesn't deviate from any norms. There's nothing that it does better than anything else. There are some things that it does similar to other things in a duller way. Um, I think the only one that I remember it really standing out to me was when we sort of get introduced to the first large dinosaur through a lightning strike, and that's not the first movie to do that. I'm sure even Jurassic Park has done that, but
Yeah, it was the movie to do that.
I'm just gonna be wowed by it every time
It
because
was
it's
the movie to, like, the T-Rex in the rain, lightning flash silhouette. It was just like a straight rip from Jurassic Park.
there was a T Rex in Jurassic Park.
Spoilers. There was definitely some elements in it that weren't bad, but the elements that weren't bad were, I mean, like you said, like, it was nothing landmark, nothing new. Um, it was the same, like for that huge dinosaur, it was
hmm
the same impactful, oh shit, big dinosaur shots that we got and that we've seen in all these kind of dinosaur movies, like, oh, here's the footprint, and oh, here the trees are moving in the background, and oh, we hear the roar, and
Yeah.
like that. And while it's not bad, it's just nothing new, and really shows that this movie just had no ideas of its own.
Mm.
Like, it was just really trying to pick from all the sci-fi that it could, and then in doing that, it just kind of ended up being this nothing burger of generic sci-fi where Adam Driver says way too less, and we're thrown into this movie way too fast, so
hmm
we don't have time to care about him by the time he crashes because it's 3 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, talking from at least like a hero's journey perspective, if you're going to be doing that, you sort of have to establish the norm so we can understand the change that has occurred. We are we aren't shown his house. We aren't
Mhm.
shown any bit of civilization except nature. So why are we to assume that he's out of nature, that this is a different experience for him?
Yeah, his home could be a goddamn water planet. We have no idea. That could have just been the one SpongeBob island that was dry.
He could live in a bungalow.
That's what I'm saying. We have no clue. He could just be like a librarian, and this is just his job.
I mean, essentially, he's a trucker.
Mhm.
He's a space trucker who also has a magic backpack that can pull out anything you need at a given moment.
And a lot of grenades.
A lot of grenades, which he
A lot of
uses
plot
in a
grenades.
cave.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Great.
Cave Spidey sense things he sticks in the ground, and it'll go beep beep. Something bad's about to
Oh
happen
my
in the
god.
plot. Beep beep.
The alarm.
The alarm. The magical box that can detect if berries are bad.
Yeah, the berry box was pretty good. I'm glad he had that on him.
A hologram projector that he carried around wherever he went for sentimental reasons for his dead daughter and never for his alive wife.
Nope, hater.
They really could have talked more about how he has to get back to his grieving wife. Like something like that. He hates her. He has to.
In this movie, they could have given him any sort of personalization they want, but he's the most blank, clean slate character with just no personality to him whatsoever. It's
Yeah.
just so boring, and Adam Driver is so wasted in this movie. Probably literally too, because Jesus, this script is like horrible.
This movie had 2 directors and neither of them could fix it. This isn't
Yeah.
the first time that like 2 directors have made a bad movie. Let's
Mhm.
look at like the Russo brothers and anything that isn't Marvel. Bad.
Yeah, very accurate. And Sam Raimi produced it, which we were both very
Really
surprised
sad.
about. But the intro credits reminded me immediately of the Spider-Man 3 intro credits, and I said that before we discovered the Sam Raimi producing it. So I'm a fucking genius, is what I'm saying.
What did you think about the girl?
I think not letting her properly speak was a really lazy way of not having to write her lines. Her only thing was to go meet her, see her family.
Mm-hmm.
But Adam Driver knows her family's dead, and I guess she doesn't somehow.
Because he led her to believe her family was on top of the mountain and that's why they have to go. That was her motivation for going. And he admits later on that that was just a straight up lie he told specifically just to make sure she went with him. I guess that's like, that's nuance to the character. He lies to children to get his way. So now
Sure,
he's a morally gray character.
great. I love this main character. And then through this movie also, like, there's never really a lot of stakes at all aside from just the get off the planet.
Yeah, that is essentially it. It's literally just, hey, we need to get to here at this specific time. Also, don't die to dinosaurs.
Like, do we even spend a night here?
We spend,
Do we see a nighttime?
yeah,
Is there a fucking Adam Driver lighting a torch scene or some
they
shit?
fall
I
asleep
wasn't-
in a cave with the markers.
Hmm.
There was the first night where he landed, and then I think he fell asleep then. And then I think there's one more passage of time. This might have been like a three nights type of thing. I might be wrong, but it's roughly 3 nights. We're getting defunded, guys. Zencastr is dropping us.
Please send anything you can to the WAM Foundation.
That isn't a joke. Zencastr, we're gonna have to start paying more for Zencastr because they're dropping one of their programs. But it is what it is.
It is a tragedy. They had like a creator program that we could record all these for free, and us being in separate places, we just have to use a third-party service to record it all. It's either that or just like a really long string and some cans. But the delay on that was just too crazy.
Every time like a car passed by at a certain spot, we had to pause.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. Any kid with scissors just really, really a pain. But we will still have episodes of WAM coming out every week. Any sort of updates like that will just be on our socials. You can find the link tree in our podcast description.
You're
Yeah. What are you gonna rate the movie?
I don't know. I don't have the full body in me to hate it, but also I know that my full body doesn't want to like it.
It's just such so nothing.
It's so nothing. I'll give it a 1. It's not worthy of like half a star because I think that's for stuff that like made me angry. This didn't make me angry. It might have made you angry. If anything, it just made me think, man, it literally could have had one like good writer take a stab at like putting stuff in between the story, and it could have been like a maybe like a decent summer blockbuster.
Yeah, I'm gonna mostly agree on that. This movie, really what I think is just like money laundering. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because this sucks and it's horrible. It's a really bad generic movie. This is the safest possible sci-fi movie they could have made with like this kind of idea. So safe that they didn't even give like the main character very many lines,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think it's really just overall lazy. It just shows Netflix is just not taking really big chances anymore at all. Um, and I think it's overall just pretty disappointing for the sci-fi genre overall, and just this movie. I was originally really excited for this premise, and it was just super disappointing. And this was honestly just a shit film. I don't even recommend watching. It's not even worth the time as a funny watch. It's just not good. I'm still just gonna. I'm just like a 1 star. Yeah.
Wait,
Um, hmm.
I recommend watching this, but only if you watch it with your family and you say it's nominated for like an Oscar or something, and see if they either lead, because if you tell them that, they can either go down two premises. They can either say the entire Oscars are a hack, or they can say, man, I see why this movie won an Oscar.
I'm actually gonna tell them that it lines up perfectly with a Weird Al Yankovic album.
Oh, this would be a good movie to do that with, because then you're just like not paying attention to the story at all. You're just like, oh, look, that went there.
Yeah, so 1 stars from both of us.
Yeah.
But let's go into news. What do
Okay.
you got?
Okay, so this one I guess is a little I guess not like super huge news, but did you happen to see any of the backlash that was going against Joe Russo this and last week?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, so Martin Scorsese, he's involved with this. He has gone a lot onto social media because of his daughter Francesca, and he did a little skit where he's like talking to his dog named Oscar, and it's supposed to read like they're both acting, and it's fun. I really like seeing Martin Scorsese on social. He's been a lot of fun. Joe Russo,
Funny old man.
Joe Russo responds with, "Oh, isn't that so cute that you have a dog named Oscar? I have a dog named Box Office," which is supposed to
Yeah,
portray the
jab
fact,
at him. Yeah.
yeah, jab at the fact that he has like what he directed Avengers Endgame, and there's not a single person who found that funny, and everybody's just like, we all love Martin Scorsese because he makes great movies. You make dog shit. Please shut up.
Yeah. Um, I
Like,
don't. I don't know how he really felt about that after. I think didn't Martin Scorsese reply to like he made a review of Endgame on Letterboxd and just said like LOL and then took it down or something.
he might have. That might have been
I
a
saw it
rumor.
somewhere. It could have been a shit post,
I
but
imagine
I wouldn't be surprised.
I imagine his daughter also runs most of that account, and he just asks him, "Hey, what did you think of that movie?" And then she plugs it in. I fully believe she would just do that, put lol on it, and then delete it. Either way, if it's real, if it's fake, if it's Francesca, it's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh,
God, imagine the gall this guy has to have to shit on Martin Scorsese.
Especially when you make movies like The Gray Man. Like, no movie that wasn't an adaptation or like a sequel has been good from you. Like, your last three movies have consistently flopped. You can talk
Yeah.
about how you have Endgame under your plate, but you wouldn't have that box office if it wasn't for people who worked a lot harder than you to get it to that point.
It's like just going like, hey guys, remember how good we used to be? Isn't that crazy? Like, this is not the time for him to be gloating about anything. Especially with all that stuff about Loki that's going on right now, where they have to basically like refix their whole MCU,
Mm-hmm.
the whole universe or whatever, which I guess goes into our
Yeah.
next piece of news probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happening with Marvel right now. The biggest thing is regarding its future. Loki season 2 isn't doing as great as season 1. I have heard some decent reviews, but there was a Variety article that came out recently that had a lot of leaks about insider knowledge on the MCU. A lot of stuff came out. The director of the Marvels left during post production to start her newest project. That isn't unheard of, but it is telling people that she isn't as confident in the Marvels,
It's not
which,
great. It's not a great sign.
yeah, funnily enough, there are people that are sort of talking about how she's done interviews where she said, I went into the Marvels trying to get a good sum of money out of it and trying to get my student debt gone. I still can't pay off my student debt. That's wild for me, to like be
Wow.
directing your own Disney movie and still have
Yeah.
problems with student loans.
A Disney superhero movie with like big name actors like that.
Especially since this is a sequel to Captain Marvel, which made $1 billion.
Yeah, it's a sequel to technically Captain Marvel, Miss
WandaVision.
Marvel, and WandaVision.
Hmm. And that's why it's
Um,
going to make no money, because it's asking, if we're just watching movies, then that has been consistently okay. We've been okay with going to the movies and doing that because that's okay. We're going to sit down and then we're going to leave, and that's our commitment.
mhm.
To watch a TV show, it's a much harder commitment, especially since their TV show style has been trying to go into different genres. It's supposed to be, it isn't very experimental in style. It's very experimental in audience. What audience is trying to get? You see them try to go into like political thrillers, and them go into like young adult things and more courtroom comedies, and it's not working great. And then another piece of news that came out with that article was how the underperformance of Ant-Man 3 has Marvel wondering if they need to completely scrap the Kang giant arc they have going into this and supplement it with something like Doctor Doom, which they've been alluding to, not through the actual events of the movies, which you could maybe say with Multiverse of Madness showing Reed Richards, but
Hmm.
more of just how they've definitely started casting for the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, they have a few options. Doctor Doom is definitely one of the flashiest, I guess, the most tempting for the audiences.
Yeah,
Um, I don't. There was also some domestic abuse charges with the
he
actor
did.
who played Kang, and he's like insisting he was the victim, like blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah, whatever. I don't really care. Um, so that's also another reason I'm very
Mm-hmm.
confident they're going to step away from Kang, just because Disney doesn't want anything on them, and so I'm completely confident they're just gonna drop him.
The thing is that this multiverse stuff could have been an easy thing to cut off and continue with without having Jonathan Majors there.
Hmm.
Because I mean, we had a whole movie where we showed three different Peter Parkers played by different people, but they killed themselves when they showed Ant-Man 3 and they literally had every Kang the Conqueror played by Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, let's be real. They could just recast him.
They could.
They could do a war machine.
Or
It
a
really,
Cassie.
yeah, it really wouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It would be people would make a funny about it, and then after the next film came out or like whatever referencing him, it would be used to it.
Yeah.
Um, like Disney and what Marvel has been doing, I think this can be really good for them because it can force them to go into a new direction they haven't thought too much before.
Mm-hmm.
But that all kind of depends on how thought out their like quote unquote backup plans are.
Yeah.
Um, because I can totally see them just being like fully laid out like plan Bs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I would hope it's a more bare bones kind of idea and that would force them to like think of new ways to like incorporate these characters into them and not shoehorn them straight in just to get everyone into the roster here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and almost like a really kind of like what DC is having going on with their clean slate and they're like starting a new universe. They don't necessarily have to start a whole new MCU, but this definitely does let them move to a new story arc
Mm-hmm.
instead of living in the shadow of the whole Infinity Saga.
Yeah. I will say that's a big point. In the article, they are sort of talking about, okay, so we had the end of what we consider the Infinity Saga, and the big thing from that is we're retiring some of our heroes to make way for new ones. And there's obvious reasons why they want to do that. First of all, and most importantly, they should have these characters reach a conclusion. That way we don't have them rolling on forever and sort of becoming dissatisfying. That's what's happening with Thor.
Hmm.
Thor had a conclusion of sorts in some stories, especially in Ragnarok. He had a great story, but
Yeah.
over time he's just had that diluted because we continue to tell his story.
Yeah.
We have finished endings on certain characters, and that worked very well. Mostly Captain America and Iron Man. The rest of them are still going about. Black Widow didn't really get a serviceable ending just because we had to see her movie after.
Yeah, Black Widow was a prequel technically, so it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even like a. It was just kind of like a, you know what happens in Endgame.
Yeah. Um, but one thing the Variety article talks about is the replacements aren't picking up enough steam for them to really keep the MCU where they're going. Spider-Man kept them going for a little bit, but now Tom Holland is taking a break, and they're also just trying to give a little bit of breathing room for Spider-Man. Ant-Man was a huge flop. Doctor Strange also was a huge flop. But I'm gonna keep shooting for that movie though. I liked it, although I thought the script was bad. I still love
For which
Sam Raimi.
movie?
Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Multiverse of Madness was necessarily like MCU garbage. Like
Mm-hmm.
Multiverse of Madness and Thor Love and Thunder, there's clearly a better movie.
Yeah,
But I think you can definitely smell the Disney like stank
I
on the
can.
movie.
I
You know
think
what I
that's
mean?
fair.
Yeah.
Um,
Um
yeah.
I think like I even saw some talks. It might have been in that article. I don't really know of them thinking of like bringing Iron Man back or
Yep.
some shit or like
Mm-hmm.
so one of those legacy characters basically. Um, and if they do that, like I don't know how long realistically. Let's say the MCU stays how they're doing now and how they've been doing for the last few years, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like chugging out garbage at a steady pace that people aren't like necessarily like fucking enraged about, but they just don't like.
Yeah.
How long do you think Marvel can sustain being this?
Okay, so we have Bob. I forgot which Bob. It's not Bob Chapek. It's the other Bob now.
Iger?
Yeah, Bob Iger. I don't even
Yeah.
know how I forgot that. I've met him.
You did.
And I forgot his name.
This is true.
Uh Bob Iger's here. More than anything, he's about buying into things. He's not really a cutting cost guy. I think he's going to hold it a little bit more. He's just going to really hope to optimize. Um I'm thinking if we run at its current state with Bob Iger in charge, they will drag this out to 2027, even if they're at constant loss, hoping to get some spark back, hoping that if they build up to some sort of arc, they can get an endgame movie that will sort of justify everything else that came about it. Um, but they could lose steam before that. It's not totally impossible.
I think really what we need is a what happened to like an Iron Man movie, just like something new for superhero movies that tells it in a different way
Mm-hmm.
because we've seen this MCU DC superhero blockbuster for like almost a decade now
Mm-hmm.
in this style. Um and while it's not necessarily all like I'm not going to sit here and say the entire MCU now is just complete and utter garbage. Like
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot of money and a lot of people work on it. There are good parts.
Yeah.
But it's just so old and tired now. I think people just need to see something better or just the medium of like those superhero comic movies is just going to fizzle out a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Funnily enough, one of the most overlooked projects in Marvel just came out with its trailer, and initial reviews also came out, and people are saying because people had such low confidence in it, they gave the cast and crew a lot of creative liberty, and they're projecting it to be one of the more creative and better projects to come out.
What movie?
It's the TV show for Echo, the one-off character that was debuted in the Hawkeye series.
Oh,
I can
it's a
explain.
spin-off of a spin-off series?
It's not a spin-off.
Hawkeye's a spin-off.
Well, everything is sort of in the MCU is a spin-off, so it's hard to say what is and what isn't. You know what I mean?
I consider a TV show of a character I saw in the movie a spin-off.
Okay.
That's
So
my definition.
it is a spin-off of a spin-off. The character development I've seen from the trailer is talking about Echo, who was a somewhat assassin character that was trained by Kingpin and who is now trying to hunt him down to get revenge on him.
Does she become... Spoiler. Does she become Ronin? Is that the...
No, we already had Ronin working in Endgame.
Well, yeah, there was... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had in Endgame, we had Clint Hawkeye become Ronin, and then a lot of the Hawkeye series deals with the consequences of that.
No. After that, because then he stops being Ronin, and I think his daughter picks it up.
I don't think the daughters in Hawkeye are barely in the thing. The only thing the daughters do in Hawkeye is they sort of say, "Dad, can you come home?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm doing superhero stuff." And they're like, "Dad, why do you always do superhero stuff?" Because it's like a Christmas movie tie-in or something. There's Kate Bishop, though. She's there.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
You're thinking of a better plot.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I really just hope the MCU does something different here because these movies are really fun, and I think our, like little generation specifically, grew up really in the sweet spot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we all kind of have a certain soft spot, or we're just fucking dweebs. But that's also really possible.
I wouldn't discount some dweebage.
Yeah, it's definitely not off the table. But what's next?
Okay, so we have some animated shows that are both starting up and about to start up. First of all, season 2 of Invincible has just come out. The first episode, at least, and I'm really excited to watch it. I'm a big Invincible fan. I read the entire comic series in a week. It's not a proud thing. Those books are huge, but it was like my first weeks of college, and I just didn't have anything to do, so I just read all of Invincible, and I like the story, and I'm excited for season 2.
The only thing I really didn't like about Invincible is that the animation just wasn't great.
I get that. They did give it a much larger budget for season 2. What I've seen so far looks beautiful.
I hope it's good. The only things that look good is like when they were flying around and like the gore, I guess, but that's where all the budget went.
I get that. There definitely was some limits on budget just because they didn't want to bet too much on this.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be good. I haven't seen the newest episode, but I will soon.
I mean, stuff like The Boys, taking superhero stuff and like kind of spinning it in a different way is really great.
Mm-hmm.
I love The Boys so much.
Those have the same. Those have the same executive producer.
Yeah,
Seth Rogen.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Yeah, and he appears in both of them, and he's funny.
It's crazy. Seth Rogen is such a good like creative mind, but like such a not fantastic. I don't know. Maybe he's like an Adam Sandler like sleeper fantastic actor, but he's never been given the shot.
Oh, I mean, he did. I wouldn't say so.
He did okay in Dumb Money.
He did okay in Dumb Money. You need to see him in a Spielberg movie. He was in The Fabelmans, and he was incredible.
Really? He was in The Fabelmans?
Yes, he gave some great delivery there. It was him, what is it? Kate Blanchett maybe, and Paul Dano. They were all great in that. Wow. Oh yeah, that's another time where he worked with Paul Dano.
Damn.
I love that movie.
That. Yeah.
And then we have coming up soon, Scott Pilgrim. The animated series is going to be coming soon. And it will have the entire cast of the original movie returning as the voice actors.
They sent out an email that just said Scott Pilgrim to be continued, and they all replied back yes within like an hour.
I'm very excited. Edgar Wright coming as a producer along with Brian Lee O'Malley. I think that's his full name. He has a long name. I'm so pumped.
His name could probably open like a Spy Kids safe house.
Yes, but it's not like the
not that long.
It's not the Latino version. It's the Irish version.
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
it's a different.
It's Brian O'Hannigan Leroy
castle.
or something.
Yeah, it's inside the ruins of a castle in a field. But
Seamus Finnegan, old body spar.
The third, and it's like boop beep.
And then, do you want a Killers of the Flower Moon update?
Okay.
It has passed $100 million worldwide.
Wowee.
Do you remember the budget?
No.
$200 million.
Fuck.
It's, I don't know. It's still not as big as it should be. It was a good movie. It deserved a little bit more. But keep in mind, it was also made for Apple TV and then got a surprise release in theaters because Dune dropped out. By the way, Dune would be out today.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Or today, yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. I still haven't watched Dune 1.
I will make you watch Dune 1 before Dune 2. We didn't talk about oh god.
What?
I have to say his name. I can't say his role. Matthew Perry. We didn't talk about Matthew Perry's death.
Were you gonna say his name from the show?
I wasn't gonna say that because he specifically has stuff where he talks about he doesn't want to be remembered for that. He wants to be him. I think he deserves to be him. Matthew Perry died maybe right after we recorded the WAM last week. He drowned in his hot tub. I'm not sure what it was. Some people are thinking alcohol was involved, but it's just really sad. He was the first to die from the Friends cast, and he also has a great autobiography about his dealing with addiction.
He was 59.
Mm-hmm.
He was young, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he was genuinely, like, he was a pretty funny guy. He just had some pretty intense drug and alcohol problems, and I'm assuming got him blacklisted.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he wanted to continue with acting. He might have. I remember he had this talk about how he went a whole night drinking with M. Night Shyamalan, and in that moment he felt like he was going to get into the movie world. And then when he finally asked him, like while he was drinking, like, man, do you think you could ever put me in like one of your movies? And then he looked at him like he was like insane, and then he sort of walked away. And then his friend comes in, and Matthew Perry tells us about this. He points out to who he was talking to, and he says, "Dude, that is not M. Night Shyamalan. You need to go home."
That's really funny, though.
He delivered it as a joke, but
yeah, but that's really funny.
It's pretty funny. He was a great comedian, man.
Yeah, he was. It's just really sad what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm kind of curious to see what the Friends like merchandise and sales department does in response to this. Like, do you think there's gonna be a new like Friends Blu-ray set that comes out soon because of it for Christmas or something?
They just did the Friends reunion. I think if not early this year, then last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was big. They just demolished the site where the Friends fountain was pretty recently.
I walked through the Central Perk set on the Warner Brothers studio. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't go to Central Perk, but I went to the couch because they moved the couch away from the fountain, and I sat on the couch.
Oh, I sat on the couch in Central Perk, and then I got yelled at. I was like 8. It was okay, but I got yelled at.
That's so funny.
There was a rope. I knew damn well. I didn't know at the time what it was from. And so
I just like comfy couch.
I had only watched the show years later and then recognized the set. And so it was like I sat there. It was cool. Do you have any more?
I have a few more. Let me see. SAG-AFTRA are somewhat close to getting a deal. It seems the biggest issue right now seems to be AI, and I believe just like not replacing actors with AI models, not getting yourself scanned, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
There was one more. I don't remember what it was. But it was like two things that they're waiting on responses for still.
Mm-hmm.
Where like we expected them today, I think, or something, and it just
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Yeah. I think it's going to be coming up pretty soon. I do think that with the writer strike finally ending, people are mostly just headstrong going into SAG-AFTRA. Like, okay, the writers were able to get what they want. We feel like we can get what we want, and everybody's sort of feeling like, man, we need to get production back. Especially when it comes to all these companies that are relying on IP, Dune, Marvel, stuff like that. Especially Deadpool. Let's be real here. Deadpool's going to be the only movie that really makes bank for Marvel, and now they can't film it.
Yeah, I am really nervous for what it's gonna do to the actual film. Um,
Yeah.
because obviously Deadpool is a funny, silly comedy. Um, and a funny, silly comedy made like written in 2022, then released in, let's say,
2025 or so.
yeah, that's going to feel aged. It's not going to necessarily feel bad, but you're going to be able to tell, like a Five
Mm-hmm.
Nights at Freddy's type deal.
Yeah, I think the writer's strike has ended. There's going to be some changes that are allowed with writing,
Hmm.
especially since Ryan Reynolds will be able to work on that along with Sean Levy.
I mean,
But
didn't they already shoot a lot of it though?
I don't know how much they shot, to be honest. I think they were in maybe the first couple of weeks,
I mean,
and
I
then it
guess I just
ended.
saw them in. They could have been just doing test shots, I guess, but I just
Yeah,
saw them in costume.
they were in costume. Yeah, I'm not sure how far along they are. Okay, Good Burger 2 trailer. We're getting closer to Good Burger. Good
Yes,
Burger 2 is on its way.
hype.
So
I'm
hype.
so excited for Good Burger too.
They look so old.
He used the plunger to unclog the shake machine.
I'm
Okay,
excited. It's gonna be bad, and we're gonna love it. We're gonna rate it 5 stars probably.
man, I'm so excited for that movie. It's not gonna be fantastic, but it'll make me happy, and that's what's important. I have the Good Burger Steelbook.
Remember when you were gonna be on set?
Yes,
Man, so sad that that was sort of a scam.
yeah, Good
Is that
Burger though.
is that all you wanted to? I thought you were gonna elaborate.
No, no, Good Burger though.
And then uh we're getting closer to the release of Godzilla Minus One. That'll be out December 1st, and the trailers look cool. I'm not like the hugest Godzilla fan, but
It
they
looked like a
always look like
Godzilla
pretty
movie.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked cool, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, Holdovers might come out
Oh yeah,
soon.
that was it.
I saw it. I really liked it. It's a great Christmas movie. Um, Besides that, I'm unsure. I want to see if you can watch Day of the Fight when it comes out. I got
Oh
to
yeah.
see that at closing night Austin Film Festival. It's an interesting character study on a boxer. There's some pretty good bits to it. I think it's up your alley with what you would enjoy. Um, Although it is a little under budget, but it has great actors in it like Steve Buscemi, Joe Pesci. I, it was enjoyable.
I think it's okay if it's under budget as long as the writing's good.
You know, I'll let you pick. I'll let you decide on that.
Oh,
It's
should I be not
it's
a movie?
I think the writing was probably good. I think how it was executed might have been a little weaker,
Hmm.
but we'll see. We'll see.
Like they were nervous to do some things.
Or they might have expanded things that shouldn't have been expanded. They put
Hmm.
emphasis on the wrong moments maybe.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I am interested in that. You should watch Cinderella Man. It's
I've
another
seen
good movie.
Cinderella Man. I love Cinderella Man.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love that movie. That's like the
Um.
main reason I'm so like in love with Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, he was great in that movie.
Also, He voiced I only recently found this out. He voiced the doorkeeper from Robots.
The Tim?
Yeah.
Damn.
I gotcha. That's
Tim,
Paul
you
Giamatti.
closed the gate. Damn, Paul Giamatti really shut that shit on his ass and then tackled in the booth. Man, I would pay so much money to get the raw footage of Paul Giamatti tackling in the sound booth with him. Oh my god.
Oh, my favorite bit in The Holdovers, which he was the star in. There's not a lot of times where he gets to be the star.
Mm-hmm.
There's this bit where this kid he's looking after, the whole time he just goes, dude, I can never tell which one of your eyes is the lazy eye. Which one am I supposed to look at?
Man.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I'm excited for that movie, kind of. I think it'll be good, but I'm not hype.
I get it.
This has been episode 18. Thank you all for listening, Wham. We'll see you next week. This has been Wham.
You've been whammed.
Bye.
Do you want to grab a burger?
No.